Good evening, everybody. Welcome to BeoTalk 174. Today we're joined by Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Just,
Hi.
the general rule of things. Willie, I make you Thor once again if we get annoyingly trolled in chat. Swing that ban hammer.
That's right. Yeah, it'll come down. It'll come down hard and heavy.
People go buy stuff at Skinny Play. The offer is still going. Buy any two products, you get 10% off. Use the link, and we get a small kickback. Goes straight back into the channel. And also, you have a site, Bio Calgary, and
It's gonna change. It's gonna change soon enough. We're gonna do a proper shoot of the apartment. So
wait, this wasn't good enough?
No, it's
Okay.
not good enough.
Why, you spotted a fleck of dust somewhere?
No, we're gonna do it. I'm probably gonna do some motion video in it as well. As far as like how, a little bit of automation to show how that all dims and such. But yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, that was
There it
basically
is.
it. Also, like and subscribe, and if you want a guaranteed answer to your topic and or question, super chats are open. And that's about it. Welcome, Josh.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome
you.
to the show.
Happy to be here.
Yeah,
So-
on the forum I saw you had quite a nice bio house, like we all envy, and thought as well I might as well ask you to come on. And apparently your family is sick of you talking about B&O as well. So here we
It's
are.
true.
Hey, we're not sick of it at all here.
My
so.
family, they were actually the ones who convinced me to do it, because my wife in particular was like, please talk to someone else about this rather than me. So
So when was the first
I
time that you
guess-
came around the B&O? What was the spark that lit the flame?
gosh. I've loved B&O for a long time. Just the design and the sound signature, if you will, of Bang& Olufsen. As I was saying to Michael before, I used to walk by the store in New York quite a lot, many decades ago. Sort of, I'd always look and window shop because I was afraid to go in. I just looked with lust and envy, and over the years had several pairs of headphones and things that were sort of my gateway drug, if you will, into the brand. And obviously had seen a lot of the iconic pieces over the years. I'm also pretty particular, a fan of Audis. So I have Bang & Olufsen systems in my cars and had for a long time. And then more recently, when we built our new home, just decided to go all Bang & Olufsen with this home. So
Did you also put in a gateway to control the lighting, or not that far yet?
we have not yet. We had a smart home in our old home. It was a Control 4 system,
Oh God.
and it controlled the lighting and the music. And we had, I don't know, 11 or 12 zones in the home of Sonos and things. And one of the things that sort of led me to Bang & Olufsen when we were building this house was, I wanted something where we could do that. But after having had a smart home that frankly wasn't that smart for most of us, or maybe we weren't smart enough for it, I don't know.
I
we
think
wanted
that's all a programmer's fault.
Yeah, well, it
Right
could
away.
be. We liked the people we worked with, but I seemed to be the only one who knew how to use anything, and I would have to show my family how to do it, and then I would forget, and then things would break. It seemed like we had people there all the time. And then Sonos decided at one point to make all their old products obsolete, and that kind
That
of really
debacle,
pissed me
yeah.
off.
I remember that. Yeah. So then you
and
were
they sent me
completely.
a nice code for 30% off replacing all of my equipment. And I was like, no, thank you very much.
That's a
So,
burn, dude. Oh my God. Yeah.
So when we were, the other thing that sort of led me to this house and building it the way that we did with the Bang & Olufsen products is that I had some nice, ranging from entry level to higher end audio and video equipment. We had an LG wallpaper TV in our family room. And sadly, that was not very easy to move, and we had to sell it with the house. And we had to leave a lot of the equipment that we had invested a lot of time and more specifically money into. And I just really wanted something that nothing would be built in. There would be nothing attached to the wall if we could avoid it. And that if we ever move from here, we can take everything with us. And sort of the longevity of Bang & Olufsen products really appealed to me. And I wanted something that, we could use for a long time or repurpose or hand down to my daughters or something like that.
There's always the residual value of it, and the design value is there for a long time to come. Like, Look at any speakers. Even the 8000s, they're from 90s. They're probably older than your daughters, and they still look cool, right? If you think about it.
Exactly. We just really, the design of the products itself obviously factored in, because one of the things that we wanted to do with this house was to sort of show off the art and the furniture and sort of let the house design itself move to the background. So while there's a lot of good audio equipment out there, it's not necessarily equipment that I would want to have out and have people see. It's more equipment that you'd usually hide away or put in a dedicated AV room that we just don't have the space for here. So the design of Bang & Olufsen equipment really has appealed to me and worked into the aesthetic of our home and what we like.
Yeah, I'm showing a picture of the kitchen now, and the beer sound 2 basically blends in without being
too blingy
or...
Yeah, that's beautiful. What color is it? Brass or is it silver?
Yeah, most of the finishes of our equipment is brass. We have some of the gold and light oak, like with the level and some other things. But we just decided with this home, it was sort of a departure for us. We'd always had sort of aluminum look, if you will, before, and we wanted sort of a more mid-century vibe, so to speak, with this house. And we just have a lot of brass fixtures and other things. And, the fact that we could sort of match it to our decor was really nice too. Of course, I'm a little sad that the brass and smoked oak is going away from the regular part of the range, at least. But I guess my timing was right, so we were able to do that without going through the bespoke program. So
yeah, the bespoke program would add an unnecessary cost to it all, especially when you want that look. So, but there's a question for you, Josh, in Twitch. You replaced the Sonos by what in that house?
Oh, well, we didn't actually replace the Sonos. We left it there.
Evil.
Pour water all over the fucking thing.
Yeah, it still worked, but it had been deemed obsolete, and they weren't necessarily supporting it or improving upon it. And so
no, they left everybody just dead in the water with it. I have a ton of clients that basically, look at all these amps. Want them? I'm like, for what? I don't know, because they don't work for anything.
Yeah, we had a closet full of those little Sonos amps, and so we left all of that and the rack system and everything, and we just, I showed the new owner how to use it as best I could and told him the number of the people who installed it all for us and so on. But we wanted that ability to connect things, so the multi-room and BeoLink was important to us, but I didn't want it necessarily built in. I've never been a fan specifically of things built into the ceiling.
Good man.
unobtrusive, but it doesn't sound all that great to me.
No.
And so this house actually is wired for speakers like that, but we just chose not to use them.
Plus, it's a bit like, stereo.
Yeah.
But you don't really need it though. Like you don't need in-ceiling speakers. Like I have houses that people put in the stealth acoustic, like the drywall. You drywall over top of them, or paint over top of them. They go into the drywall. They sound absolutely horrible. But it was like, oh yeah, there's I wouldn't want this even for the background music. I'd rather listen to the housekeeper's freaking vacuum humming than this shit on off the ceiling. But some people just do it, and some people actually appreciate good music or good sound, I guess.
Thank you, Don. Don, with his $10 donation. Control 4.
Oh no, Don do you have Control 4, Don? I think he does, doesn't he?
He wants you to come over to fix it.
Oh god, the only thing I can fix with Control 4 is just a jug of distilled water all over it. Well, the worst part about the Control 4 is that the programmers are actually dependent on the servers. So when I've had a couple instances that the guys couldn't log in, either we wouldn't have internet connection from the house out, or the server was down for whatever maintenance, at night when they're programming shit. But with BNO, you don't have that issue. Everything is local. So I don't know. I also, to my point, I don't think that you had a bad programmer per se for the Control 4, or people that you worked with were bad. My comment would be to that as far as the programmer's fault, they don't ask enough questions. He didn't interview people enough. He didn't make it human. That's the problem, because a lot of people do that programming based off what they think that it should happen in the house, and then they walk you through it, and here you fucking go. I'm like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how I pay for automation in my house. You do what I want it to do, and I'm paying for your skill to set it that way. So, and a lot of people also are limited by imagination, but once you start seeing things, then you're not far from imagining, because then it's not more imagining, it's you reviewing your idea of what certain scenes should look like, right? Like if I'm watching TV, what lamps and shit I wanted, so what level, right? So then it doesn't really glare off the screen, I can still see stuff, and blah blah blah, and what other stuff you wanted to shut down, just so you don't have, if you have music in the bathroom per se, that, for me, it kills off everything with my, let's say, TV lights command. So, but to me, that's the comment that I would make towards automation as far as how do you make it. It doesn't matter if it's BNO or Control 4. It's definitely a programmer that makes a big part of it, or the salesperson in that sense.
In our case, what happened with us with the Control 4 quite a bit is we had various plugins, for instance, for our video doorbell, which was, I think, a Doorbird or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then if one thing got updated, it would break something else. And that was the issue.
That's the best home automation stuff.
all in sync and working. Like it worked one day until one day the system updated itself and it didn't work anymore, or it didn't work in the same way. And so we were always having to have people come in or remotely log in to
fix things
and then relearn it all over again.
Yeah, that's no way to live the life. But also Control 4 was very primitive in the beginning. In the beginning, the first variant of their processors were terrible as far as the speed and how long it takes for stuff now. I do work with Control 4 because I don't have a choice as far as when it comes to older systems where you have to keep the BeoSystem 3, let's say, in the Masterlink environment, so you can still, have sound throughout, but you only use the sound processor out of it, right? Where I just pull either optical or SPDIF, whichever one comes out of the TV, directly into the BeoSystem 3, and then or 4. 4s are better because you can actually control them with a Control 4 now as a driver for B&O, where it didn't have before. So yeah, it's easier to do it now, but it's still like, for me, the feel of the plastic remote, you know what I mean? Like, and just and a plethora of buttons that I don't really use, and it's just it's too convoluted for me. I like the Be a remote ones.
It's a good point. Actually, it was the Beo Remote One that sort of led us down the path, so to speak, because I said I wanted something simpler. And the whole idea of our moving from the old house to this new house is it was a downsize for us. I always hate to say that to people who live in big cities who maybe live in apartments because I've been there before, but it's still not a small house, but it's much smaller than our previous home. And so I was looking at, I've had LG OLEDs and other things. So I was looking at some of the new LGs. It's like, this is great. I could use that. And then I saw the remote and I was like, oh gosh, I'm never going to use that remote. That thing is ugly. I don't like it. I'm just going to basically throw it in a drawer somewhere. So then it led me to, okay, how am I going to control my systems? And, when I was, finally saying, okay, maybe I'm going to make a bigger investment in Bang & Olufsen than I had in the past, it really started with the remote. Like, oh my gosh, I can control everything from this.
Yeah.
And it looks nice too. So,
yeah, if you get a BeoMaster 5500, you can even control that with a Beo Remote One. That's the amp for the Beograms from the late 80s.
mm-hmm.
It's that far back compatible.
And then I think one of my favorite little things is the magnetic wall mounts that STB makes. And the dealer who I work with laughs at, I guess they sell a lot of them, but I'm the only one who actually really uses them. And we have them all over the house.
I use them all over the house too.
I always know where the remote is. So, and then it was a little bit, sort of a friendly gesture or a marriage saver, however you want to look at it. We decided on his and her remotes in the rooms that we really share so that we're never fighting over the remote. So.
Yeah, I see it's even in the bedroom with the full surround and his and her remote, obviously, because how could you live otherwise?
But that's cool though, because like, let's say you pass out, she doesn't have to reach over and freaking turn off the TV, right? She just grabs her remote and poof, off it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to give the impression that you might hug her or spoon
her. Pandemic times, you shouldn't be doing any of that anyways. Sleep with the.
Well, we're fully vaccinated, so
there you go. But that looks awesome though. It looks stunning. I really like the walnut.
What made you choose walnut? Just because it came with the brass, or was it a deliberate choice of I want walnut and the brass and not black or white or normal oak or
to
complement the bench and the chair?
At the moment, I don't see which room you're looking at. I assume it's the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, harmony with the 18s, and you have the Danish white chair there on the side.
Oh yeah, the Hans Wegner chair, the shell chair. I don't know. I like the warmth of walnut, and the Bang & Olufsen things. The walnut is really more with the bronze finish, and we liked the brass. So the smoked oak, I thought was a good in between, with some of our furniture being walnut and the floors being a light white oak. It was sort of a good mid-tone, and I think it works.
Mm-hmm. It looks wicked. Absolutely wicked.
Thank you.
And then the surrounds, yeah.
Don't you have the same bed, Willie?
Yeah, I do. We have a lot of same furniture, actually.
Yeah.
But that's mid-century, man. Like, you can only go so many ways, right? And, I usually go with Nelson.
We've always been, I think where my wife's and my design styles come together is really in mid-century, because I tend to like maybe slightly more contemporary, and she grew up with sort of more traditional furnishings. And so where we sort of met was mid-century. I would say the Mad Men look, if you will. Like, that's my idea of how life should be lived, basically. Maybe a little less drinking and smoking, but you know, sort of that design aesthetic. So yeah, we're a big fan of mid-century furniture, and one of the nice things about this home is that it was sort of a blank slate, so that we could have more mid-century design in the home, even though it's not specifically a mid-century style home. So
You went with the wood legs on the bed because otherwise it wouldn't match. You see? 'Cause
oh
there's
yeah,
the metal ones are silver.
yeah.
Right on.
Do you
Well-
actually find yourself using the Harmony in the bedroom often?
Oh yeah, it gets used probably second most in the home, because we watch TV at night or whatnot, and then
Morning
with the
news.
speakers, I try to watch news not in the bedroom because it upsets me a lot. So,
Just get right depressed before
Yeah, we try and watch happy things right before bed, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, that's why when we got the 50s, we moved a pair of the 18s and the 19 into the bedroom, so we would have full surround sound. I can't say that we watch movies there as much, but for some of the TV shows and things we watch on Netflix or Apple TV,
it still makes a difference.
from that. And we have it set up so that, you know, for music, we have them all playing sort of in double stereo, if you will, if you're just having background music. And then there's a setting optimized for sitting in the chair if you want to sit there and listen to music or read a book or something. And then one for listening to music in the bed. So, I mean, I think that's one of the really cool things about Bang & Olufsen is that since everything is built into the Harmony or the TV system, that you can have all these multiple different settings for usage scenarios. Whereas before, with my equipment that I had in our old home, it was sort of designed for, you know, the one chair that you
purpose.
sit into. Yeah.
It's single purpose.
And
Yeah,
so
I couldn't
it
even
also
fathom how they
sounded-
would do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
And like
No,
I
that's
couldn't even
okay.
fathom how they would do a speaker group in regular amplifiers and all that jazz. Like there's no way to even program that way. Like B&O's the only unique brand that has that.
Yeah. And then in the family room, we have that, but we have a few more settings. And, you know, the 50s are calibrated for several different spots there, depending on where we're sitting. So
Are the 18s in the bedroom, by the way, question from Twitch, are they wired or wireless, and why so?
they're all set up via WISA at the moment. The 50s are the only speakers in the home that are actually wired power link. Others are all WISA. Now, had we sort of before the drywall went up in the house, had we planned everything out, that might have been different. But that also really factored into doing things because we could have such flexible placement choices on things. And
Yeah, WISA in a freestanding house is great because the only network that will ever interfere is your own, and you have control over that.
we haven't had any issues with WISA, and you know, it's a townhome, so we have homes around us, and more so than our old home, we have a lot of signals being broadcast into the house, and it's never affected the WISA. It's been rock solid. So
Yeah,
That's good. Good.
where I
Good.
live, I have like 20 networks coming in at least, so it's a bit of
Yeah.
a different story.
Yeah, I have way more than that. I don't even know how many. I didn't count, but it's way above 30, 40 because I see a lot of units from all the way around, even from the building across. Because even though it looks like concrete, it ain't concrete. It's all paper and shit, and then it travels far, like far.
I mean,
Yeah.
one of the things too, I mean, it sort of goes onto the WISA is that, and I was saying to this before saying this to you guys before the show started, that we were designing this and making some of these decisions during the pandemic. And so I actually had to make decisions without necessarily auditioning some of the equipment. And it was based on trust. It was, I mean, I did have video auditions with my dealer who's in New York, but I couldn't necessarily experience firsthand all of the equipment. So we had a rule, and actually that went with the furniture too, Willie, that when we were buying things for the home, we wouldn't actually commit to buying it unless we knew there was more than one place we could put something. Because once we got into the home, if our plan for it didn't work, we didn't want to be stuck with something. It needed to work somewhere else.
That's right. Now you're doing
So the WISA was really helpful with that because, you know, as long as it can connect, it doesn't really matter exactly where we would place it. So
all you need is power, and it's a complete freedom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, WISA is a great idea.
Go back to the bathroom for a second, or actually, this one is good for the A9. What are the switches? What's the brand of the?
Yeah,
of
they
your
seem to be
light
like
switches?
floating on the wall almost.
They're a little different than normal ones, but they're not Lutron.
Oh, those are Legrand, something like that. I can't remember the exact name of the model line.
But they're not smart, right? It's just a regular.
I think they have 3 levels. Okay. And so this is the most designer level, and they can be smart, but they require a hub. So when we were building this home, we actually spec'd one level down because they had Siri control and everything built into the switch itself.
Oh no.
Well, when we came and saw what switches had actually been installed, we're like, okay, these are great, but these are not the ones that we asked for. But we just kind of went with it. And we had plans to really tie in all of the switches into our home kit, if you will. But we haven't done that. We haven't really found the need to do it. Apparently, when the builder was taking some people through the home before we had moved in, and they saw the switches, everyone always thought that the switches were installed incorrectly because they actually stick out from the wall a little bit. There's like a little bit of a gap between the drywall and the switch, and it's just the way they're designed. And we're like, no, they put them in correctly. You know,
I actually kind of like that floating look.
I just like that they were square sort of switches and a little bit different than something else. So
it's a beautiful place.
They make a lot of different finishes. So they have a whole lot of designer finishes for the switches, but we basically went with plain white, except in one place, I think on our kitchen island, we have brass because the white was just
too much.
Like, hey, here's a switch, and we didn't really
glows in the dark, for God's sakes.
And as you know, I really like your book pole case thing.
Oh, thank you.
Are they glued together?
The cases? No, they
or no, those
they're pretty easy to put together. There's a central pole that connects to the base, and then you just slide the little bookshelf parts on, and you can either do them in one direction or multiple directions. And
I see the pipe. I didn't even notice the pipe. I thought he just had the freaking books stacked on top of one another, being all ballsy like and shit. See who tops it over and Jenga.
Yeah, they do look sort of like they're floating, unless you see it from the side and can see sort of the support.
Yeah, I can see.
We have a lot of books, so we had to find some ways to have bookshelves that allow us to have a lot of books, but in a small amount of space. So they've been useful.
So when you were building this place, were you speccing out only for the electrical plugs where you knew you're going to have speakers? Because these look like they were not just, because you don't get 2 fireplace plugs or beside fireplace on a regular house.
Yeah. One of them was there when we decided we had not expect another one, or we missed it or something. But thankfully, there's electrical behind the painting there for like if someone hangs a TV above the fireplace.
No.
And well, we could talk about that in a second.
We
So we
will.
were able to easily run a line for the other speaker there. So
Okay.
yeah, we had to do some small adjustments after we moved in. Michael, I'm with you. I really am not a fan of TVs over the fireplace, and
I hate it so much.
and
It's terrible.
in our old home, we had a similar layout where we had a fireplace on one side, and then the TV was on the other side, and sort of the sofas running perpendicular to the TV or to the fireplace and parallel with one another. And so on a smaller scale, we just sort of kept the same thing here. I think 2 houses ago, we did have a TV over the fireplace because it was really the only place we could put it. And my neck was always like this. And we actually had to lower the mantle of our fireplace. You know, we had someone, a carpenter, come in to lower it so that we weren't craning our necks as much. But, you know, I mean, that is definitely what most people do. It is just not what.
Well, I guess it's also the
like.
furniture.
And I think for me, I prefer the viewing level to be sort of at my eye level, and you know, having the harmony or an eclipse or whatever it might be always seems to be at about the optimal level of where I'd want to put it. So
Yeah, I don't mean this as a dig, but most people I know in America have American style furniture, and that always means you sort of sit like this in the couch. So
That
like,
was
the
wasn't it
viewing
Megan that made that point? It's a very valid point with the lazy boys and such, because everybody does lean back a lot. Like, but there's nothing that looks more hideous than having a TV and a fucking cable box on the mantle glowing. Like,
Yeah.
that is just an atrocity to the mankind.
I mean,
And
even my brother-in-law, his TV is like a foot off the ceiling or something like that. It's like, what are you doing? It's not even above a fireplace either, so I don't get it.
Oh my god. But that's just the rule in North America. You have to have it high up like that. I was specifically looking for a place that does not have, and it's so hard to find a place without a fireplace in here.
Yeah. I mean, it never entered our mind to put a TV over the fireplace here. I mean, it just isn't something that we would do. In fact, like I said, I didn't even really want TVs on the wall. So everything I knew was either going to be on a piece of furniture or, you know, in its own sort of stand like it is now.
John from Manchester drops by to say, "Beautiful home, Josh," and he's very jolly and yeah.
Awesome. Quick question regarding the picture that we're on. I don't know if you can see it or not. The turntable cabinet, was that a custom-made piece of millwork, or was it something that you actually had lucky to find?
No. It's called the Edel, Edel credenza. I believe it's made by a Scandinavian company. And we specifically bought that for the turntable because I had an issue in our old home where I had just bought the turntable that's in there. It's a Riga Planar 8, and it has an Afida 3 cartridge on it. And I'd had it about a week, and our cleaning lady and her team came by, and because it has a non-traditional cover, I think I had said something, you know, please don't touch it, don't dust it, whatever, but it didn't get communicated to everyone, and they ran a rag right under it, and it snagged the stylus. And it was obviously irreparable. It had to be replaced, and it was about a $2,000 stylus.
I was gonna say that those are at least $2,000. Jesus Christ, man!
I called, you know, the guy who had sold it to me, and he's like, "Well, you wouldn't be the first or maybe even the 100th person to tell me something like this has happened. But yeah, it really sucks. And so I learned my lesson and we decided, okay, I was planning to keep that turntable. It is going to be hidden away somewhere where no one will touch it. You know,
I had a client that snagged his needle with his own coat.
Well,
He
yeah.
was
then you
changing
pull
the
it
record
right
and
off. Yeah.
just he fucking went out, man. Guts and glory
Yeah,
spilling
I
out.
think
Just
I
hurts.
think I probably would have been more upset had I done it myself. I mean, it was an honest mistake, and maybe
Yeah.
I didn't communicate it well. I mean, it kind of sucked. I mean, she offered to pay for it, and I was like, yeah, no, just don't worry about it. I'll pay for it. But you know, I
How
don't
do you
Lesson
have
know.
it
learned.
integrated to the
I'm not going
B&O?
to get burned twice.
No.
No.
What?
How do you have it connected to the rest of the B&O? I take it you have a preamp somewhere, and then
Yes, there's a preamp there, and then it's connected into a core that basically goes to the harmony in the 50s there, or any of the rooms in the house.
The turntable zone.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah. I mean, it's the core is called turntable, and then we also have one in the office where I am, and that core is called office turntable. You know, that
Oh, you have
was
a turntable?
something that,
Oh yeah, you have a turntable in the office.
yeah. Can't
Nice.
So that was something that gave me a little bit of a pause because I do love my vinyl, and in the old house and prior, it was always kind of an all analog system.
Mhm.
And you know, the purist in me was like, well,
Crap.
okay, I don't know if this is really going to work for me, but I also really wanted everything in this house to be easy, not only for my family but for me, and just like don't think about it. And so I got over that because I did want to be able to sort of stream the music from whichever turntable we're using to a different room depending on the situation. And frankly, it's worked great. It sounds wonderful, and whether it's all analog or not, it sounds great. And at the end of the day, that's what I care about. So, you know, it's given us more flexibility that way. But
oh, there seems to be a raging discussion on the forum between BeoSound 1 and BeoSound Level. Since you have them both, which do you prefer?
oh gosh, okay.
We're gonna start something now, god damn it.
I definitely prefer the sound of the Level. All right, to my ears.
I agree.
You know, the BeoSound 1 has been useful, and I enjoy it, but in limited application. I mean, I really like the design of it, and that can't be discounted. Sound wise, it is not my favorite Bang & Olufsen product. I mean, the BeoSound 2, I absolutely love. When we were in an apartment for a few months, in between our old home and this home being completed, that's what I used almost exclusively for my turntable. I just had it plugged into the BeoSound 2, and it sounded great. I mean, it sounded so good. In fact, I was wondering why I was spending all this other money on, you know, the full systems. But then once the full systems were installed, I was very happy that we got those. So, you know, I guess that's a long way of saying I prefer the Level.
No, I agree with you.
Level-
I used to have a BeoSound 1, and the Level is just better.
Yeah.
I
mean,
in terms of sound, I mean, like the design
Yeah.
is, if you really like the look of a BeoSound 1, it's B&O, it's aluminium, it's your little missile, it's whatever you
It
want to
looks
call.
cool. It's got its own presence. Where I think that the Level is a little more domesticated. I guess.
We use the BeoSound 1 that's sort of over by the back door to the courtyard, and it's on a charging pad, and then we just bring it outside, and that's our music outside. So it works pretty well for that. We did get a Level recently. It's actually living in sort of the bar area of our kitchen, right next to a couple other speakers. It doesn't actually get used there right now. That's just sort of where it's living. The idea there was to put it actually in the entryway, and so we'd have a portable speaker if we're going to be out front of the house. But I haven't yet found, once I got the wall mount, the plan is to kind of run the wire through the wall, so I don't have a wire hanging down. I don't really like seeing wires very much.
No, so far
and-
you're very well in the points, brownie points for wire management in your house. You're definitely good. You would have heard about it already, tell you what.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of my favorite things, it's so funny thinking of all the various installations we've had over the last year. The team from Bang & Olufsen in Soho in New York, which is the group we work with, the installers who've come down, they know me and what I like to see, and the fact that I don't like to see wires. And the last time they came, they actually fixed some of our wires like under our bedside table, because there was an outlet strip and multiple plugs there, and they hid it behind, like, there's a piece of wood on the bedside table, and it fit perfectly behind it, so you can't see anything.
Nice.
And honestly, it's like I was more excited about that than almost anything else they had done. You know,
the wire management is satisfactory.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was really happy with all the other stuff they did too, but that one particularly pleased me because I just, I try to have a Zen experience in the house, so to speak, and just in cables everywhere.
No,
doesn't do that.
No.
How do
you actually were brave enough to get the Edge for God's sakes?
You're one of the few people that has it.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of people who don't necessarily like it. It's worked well for that room. That is a little bit more of an easy listening, sort of more of a conversational room. It's what we like to call our grown-up hangout, so to speak. So it's usually more background music. It works really well for that. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I've thought about perhaps putting some other speakers there and moving the Edge somewhere else in the home. But for right now, I think it works really, really well. I mean, I like that turntable is set up so it goes directly into the Edge. All I have to do is, put the stylus on and it turns itself on, and I control the volume right there to get it where I want to. And then from there, either I'd use my phone or use the Halo or something like that. But actually, that turntable in that room, which we call the library, is soon to be replaced with a Beogram 4002. So
nice.
Yeah.
Beograms are great.
Yeah, I'm past the turntables, as I've spoken a number of times. I'm just not buying any more formats of media.
I will say, by the way, on the Edge, I don't know if this is even the right way that we should have set it up, but you can have music come out of either side. Mm-hmm. And we have that sort of interior window there. I have it set so that music is coming out both. And I don't know if it's the reflection coming off the window, whatever. It to me, it just sounds a bit fuller and better that way. So in that particular location, it works really well for us. So.
Yeah, and the bass doesn't it rattle the window much or no? Or the glass?
No. The only thing that rattles anything is sometimes listening to movies with 50s, the 50s. I mean, they've been calibrated and optimized.
Yeah.
The space is a little tight in there, so when they were calibrating them for us, there's a bar to the left of the left speaker. all the glasses in there were completely rattling. And, you know, we were worried something was going to break from it when it was doing its sort of continual sweep.
Yeah.
But I don't hear that. And during most music or anything, you wouldn't hear any glass rattling. But sometimes in movies, we will. I don't even think it's our windows. I think it's a glass table that we have and a vase on it. I think just starts to rattle a little bit.
So was that your first time you've heard the 50s when after they calibrated them because of the situation, or did you actually have a chance to audition them before?
No, I flew up to New York
because that's a huge blind purchase, right?
Yeah.
That's
no, I did not purchase those blind. I went up. I listened to the 90s and the 50s, and on a second trip to New York, I think I had already put in the order for the 50s, but I went up to listen to the 28s as well. And
what's the wife approval factor on the top speakers? Did we lose them? I think we lost them.
Or slow internet.
Slow internet. It's not me, baby. It's not me. I think he dropped. No, there you go.
I can hear you fine. Can you not?
Yeah, you just froze. That's all right.
Tell your wife to stop using the microwave.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Hold on. Okay.
So,
my wife's pretty cool. That's all I'll say. You know, it took a little bit of convincing, but I think the fact that you can get them in the brass finish, which she quite likes, helped a lot. So
did she also audition them with you, or no? Or you just went out and?
No.
That's
it's one of those things. She trusts me that if I enjoy listening to it, she will enjoy listening to it. So
did you need to put in any warning, like, honey, don't look at the bank account tomorrow, or?
No,
but I briefed her that it was going to be an investment.
I'm sure that's a tall order to ask for forgiveness than permission before that, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, the thing I would say is, obviously we've made a big commitment to the brand, but building this home, we wanted it to be a place that we all really enjoyed and appreciated and were inspired by. And I wasn't looking at it as, you know, necessarily X amount now. I was looking at it over the long term, you know, and the longevity of the products, and especially speakers, which you can keep for such a very long time. I tend to look at it over the bigger picture. So that is, if there was any convincing, that is sort of how I would frame it, as like, look, I mean, if we look at it in one way, it's quite a value over time, you know.
I like the justification because that's the one I use as well.
So she knows, you know. So I mean, she basically just said, I know you're going to keep talking about them for a very long time, so why don't you just buy them and stop talking about them? And
then you didn't stop talking about them.
Yeah. So,
start talking about them more now because they're fucking awesome speakers.
Well, no, but now she understands, because
does she listen to him as well? Like, does she sit down and listen?
Oh yeah, she does.
Nice.
She's still, well, no one in the family besides me is really using the B&O app. They all try to AirPlay something, and I've been trying to migrate them over to, you know, using the app and the Deezer, and you know, just because in my opinion it sounds better on the system. And so we were doing that the other day and having a little tutorial on that, and she agreed. She's like, oh yes, this does sound a lot better. So, you know, but yeah, she uses it. She puts records on. You know, I don't think that she uses the multi-room as much as I do. But yeah.
There's a question floated in the chat there. what's your opinion, I guess, on or difference between the 28s and 50s since you're living with both of them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have to say, when I first auditioned the 28s, I was both alternately kind of blown away and sort of worried because the bass in them just sounded really forward to me. And but on certain songs, they just sounded amazing. And so I knew that they would work well for what I wanted to do with them, and they were the right choice. But it was a little bit of trust that either they would, and I think that was an earlier version because it was just when they were launched. It was a little bit of trust that the software would get worked out or the room compensation would work well. And I will say that here in our home, they've sounded really, really good. They're pretty dialed in. And I don't think that they compare to the 50s. The 50s to me are still far superior. And it's kind of a hard comparison. But what I will say, at least in practice here in our home, the 50s are closer together. And because of the layout of our room, we had to make some compromises with how they were placed. And the 28s are further apart. And so in particular, what I really enjoy about the 28s is the soundstage on them is pretty phenomenal. And I think that's due in part to the speakers, but also the fact that we were able to place them further apart. And, it's a really enveloping sound. And I find myself up here listening to music more often than I would think. The family room is also a very used room by other people in the home. So here I can come close the door. So the 28s are really, really growing on me.
Yeah, tech can only solve for so many things in terms of like physical obstructions. And I mean, I've noticed that, and I think I said it last week, from my last place to here, where I have another, I don't know, in feet, something like 5 to 7 foot or so of extra space between the 50s. It makes such a difference.
Well, I'm already, I have some ideas as to what we could do with them to tweak it slightly, but I have not run those past my wife yet. I'm also looking toward, as much as this is a home that we really love, I don't think that we'll live here forever. I mean, probably 5, 6, 7 years, maybe more. So I'm already thinking well ahead to, I know where I could put these in the next house and maybe upgrade the main speakers to the 90s.
That's right, get the 90s at the front.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well,
what does your daughter have in her room? Or does your daughter have any B&O in her room?
I have 2 daughters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they both have Apple HomePod in their room. Our older daughter is off at college, and for her birthday, we just bought her a level. And that was actually one of the reasons why we bought it because she's on like a shared Wi-Fi, so her HomePod wouldn't work there. And actually the level, when we tried to set it up on the Wi-Fi there, it wouldn't work either, but it has Bluetooth, so it works for her for now. And so I, in part, bought the level that we have in our home to use here, but it was also with an eye toward in a few years when she graduates and needs her first sort of starter B&O, if you will, I can give her the second level and she'll have a stereo pair. They do have headphones though, and our youngest daughter has an A1 that she uses, and we have outside of her room there's like a flat roof, and so she sometimes goes out there with her friends and hangs out there, and so she brings the A1 out there so she can play music and things like that. So Yeah. I'm going to have to take a very short break.
Yeah, go for
No
it.
worries. You go
I'll
ahead.
be right back.
I love the gym. It looks pretty slick.
Yeah, I would totally have that and then not use it.
And then not use it. Yeah, I think a commitment issues would be hard. It would be a little hard for me to bring up.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of. I have these bouts where I'm way too lazy. Oh, you're massive.
Oh damn! Look at that! Look at my Lego. I'm hoping for shittier weather so I can get that truck building because I'm not in the mood right now.
Yeah, I still have to build my whatchamacallit?
The spaceship,
my
Apollo
rocket.
did?
Yeah. Well,
Dude, you gotta get on that.
I know, but the problem is I have cats, right? And it's basically a giant puzzle.
Oh, and they fuck off with the parts.
Yes. And every time we've done a puzzle, like the last time we managed to complete one, within 45 minutes, a cat was like on it and then and it was on the floor.
Well, she won't do that with the Lego set. Or they won't do that with the Lego set.
Well, one would hope, but
You just gotta go one bag at a time.
I mean,
And,
basically, for me to make that Lego set complete requires perfect discipline when they become annoying and hungry. As soon as they're annoying and hungry, it's like,
Yeah, it's you're smiting them. They're tripping.
yeah, they got the zoomies again. They're chasing one another.
That's funny. But yeah, it's a nice house, man. I like it.
Well,
Definitely.
it's more or less your
crazy
house in brass and bigger.
and bigger, yeah. Less Lego.
Well, maybe that's in
But,
the closets.
Oh, speaking of good news, I might got some good news. I'm getting rid of the 9s and the 5s.
Where you sold
And
them?
yeah. And I want maybe depends. I don't know. I really don't want to sell my 9,000. I really don't want to sell my 9,000.
Why is
but
there
if
an
the-
offer for it?
If the price is right, I might fucking let her go.
Can't you get the CD player for the BeoSound 5?
I have a CD ripper for the BeoSound 5, yeah.
Yeah, but that just plays CDs as well, doesn't it?
No, but the dude that bought the 5s, he's kind of, has the hard on for the 9,000 because he just saw that picture
I understand.
with the 9,000 on the wall and two 5s. This famous catalog picture.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's so he bought the 5s, and well, he wants the freaking 9,000. I'm trying to swing him to a BeoSound 5 because I have 3 of them, and I should. I'm just waiting for them to make the decision when they see that because I fucking really want to list some of that stuff on. That's exactly the picture that fucked him up. So.
Yeah, I
we
understand
go.
that.
Josh is back.
I'm
Oh,
back.
God. So yeah, this is
What did I miss?
Well,
I have
mostly
a client that is bought my 5s, and that's the picture that basically sold him on the speakers. And I was telling to Mikey that if the offer's good, I might consider buying or selling my 9,000 with it.
if you're
yeah,
looking for a
the
9,000, Willie has one that's voltage correct. I mean, you can
are
see
you
it in
looking
the
for a
background just
9,000?
behind the door.
I'm thinking about it. Yeah. I mean, it's a little crazy because at the moment I don't own one CD. But for some reason I haven't been able to get it out of my mind. And,
That's where the pawn shops come into play, brother.
yeah, our record store here does have a lot of, well, they have the new ones, but used CDs in good condition are like $3-4. So
Yeah,
I
same
think,
here.
more so you were asking about my wife agreeing to the 50s. That was an easier sell than the 9,000 is because she knows me and knows that I will probably just start collecting even more music and probably purchase all the same albums I already have on CD as well as vinyl. And
well,
you know, but the only
if you
reason
buy Willie's wherever it is for,
I'm not fucking selling anything.
but it's on the floor stand, so you can put it wherever. So you can hide the
Fair
cables
enough.
in the pole.
That's right. Fair enough.
I had, I don't know, 400 or 500 CDs, but when our oldest daughter was very young and we were in a New York apartment, you know, the CD holders that we had it in were within her reach, and she would always pull them down and like break the CD cases and step on the CDs. And we just decided, we just decided at that point we were going to digitize everything. And then sort of the whole world moved more to streaming and digital music. But, you know, vinyl is still my passion, but I appreciate music however I can listen to it. So, and we have, I don't know if you can see it here, but this Edison phonograph that was a gift from my mom, and that was my grandmother's. And so it was in the family. I kind of like the idea of maybe putting a 9000 in here and having sort of, you know, that the evolution of man, you know, where it goes from phonograph to this to CD or something like that. But sort of musically rather than evolutionally.
I like those old sort of phonographs, but more as in like they're almost all of them back in those days were so well made that you can use them as an art piece now.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it works. You just have to crank it up. I have a whole bunch of cylinders. And I wouldn't
Kanye West on.
I wouldn't exactly call it hi-fi or anything, but you know, some are speeches, some is just old music, and I think you can find them on eBay or swap meets or things like that.
Well, you're prepared for a blackout, I guess.
Yeah,
we're gonna be a non-network player.
It's not going to replace the Bang & Olufsen anytime soon.
No, I wouldn't think so. But yeah, that's a beautiful house, man. It's a lot of thought that went into it. I like the idea of the his and hers remote. That's awesome. That is a great idea.
Yeah, it makes me think that maybe Eric was right with so many remotes in the house. It makes me think I should get some more as well.
I live alone and I need one more remote for myself because
it is kind
of... You know what I find though with those wall brackets? It's a double-edged sword. Like you always know where the remote is, but they do beat the hell out of the wall over time. I don't know if you noticed that, but because I put mine all the time and the sharp corners catch, you can see these little micro divots in there.
So, I haven't noticed that yet, but we're
maybe I just screwed you up.
Will be about a year is being in the home, so I think we still have the painters and drywall guys to come back and touch things up if we need to.
But yeah, that's nice.
Matthew's asking, is your dealer trying to sell you any other gear? You basically have it all, don't you? You can only go back to the classics.
Yeah, they're probably always trying to sell me on something, but they don't need to convince me too hard usually, because, you know, they just show it to me and I kind of fall in love and I'm like, oh yes. But like I said before, I have to be able to envision multiple ways in which I could use something before I would commit to doing anything. And I that's not only uniquely true to Bang & Olufsen, it's really true of anything we're doing. I want flexibility, and so they don't have to sell me too hard, but we have a good relationship, and they know what I like and what I might be interested in, and they'll talk me out of stupid ideas that I might have sometimes too. So it works.
I must say, that glass table in the window to the right of the 50s, that's a gorgeous table.
Oh, thank you.
Is that the one that dances?
Yeah, it does, a little bit. In our old home, we had sort of a central hallway when you came in, and they had what was called like a rotunda or something. And so that was like right in the middle of the house. And we struggled a little bit to find a place to put that, but that was something we had to keep because my wife loved it so much. And then it works pretty well there. But I will say a Beolab 90 would fit really nicely over there if we rearranged something. But that's a battle I will lose. So I know when to pick them and when not to.
When to pull back.
I mean,
Yeah, I do like it a lot.
Since you auditioned 90s and ended up with 50s, there is something I think to say for the absolute size difference versus capabilities of the two. Because compared to 90s, 50s are actually kind of small.
Oh, yeah. Well, the third of the power.
Yeah, what I really liked about the 90s and what would have worked really well for us is the chair that's over by the cabinet where the turntable is. That's sort of my favorite chair to sit in. And so obviously it's off axis, and having beam direction control as opposed to just beam width control would have been ideal. But it was really the depth of the 90s in what is kind of a small room.
They would be way too large, like for where the sofa is and stuff.
They would stick out too much. So the 50s have done almost everything I can ask for and more. I mean, I've been really, really thrilled with them. And actually, we had some friends come over last night who had not been over to our house before. And one of them turned up the 50s, I think, beyond anywhere I've ever put them. And they sounded pretty great, you know.
Did you get any emails from the condo board?
No. Thankfully, our closest neighbor is away for the holiday weekend. But even so, our house is pretty well insulated inside and out, so we don't hear much. And I don't think even the 90s would probably disturb them too much. But yeah, it is funny. The other comment they had was, how many speakers do you actually have? You know, and they kept asking, like they walked in and they saw the A9. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's a speaker. And then they looked at something else. I'm like, look, if you see something and you're not sure what it is, just assume it's a speaker. So,
that's actually a good thing, a good rule of thumb. Yeah, I'm going to use that here.
It's true. With B&O, it is.
I mean, I've had that question several times where people walk to like the balcony or whatever and like, hey, what's this speaker? What's that over there in the middle? That small cube speaker. What's that?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, speaker.
Well, I think with something like a level or obviously the 18s or something, they look like speakers. But when you are looking at the BeoSound 2, I don't know that it, or the Edge or something, it doesn't look like what someone expects a speaker to look like. So they're just not really sure, you know. I mean, some walk in and say, oh, wow, I know that speaker, you know, or whatever. But, you know, if they don't know, they're not really sure.
It's even more rare in America, especially if your closest dealer is, what, New York and or Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's far.
I mean, it happens too with the TV also. You know, they're like, what's that? And then I show them. And then they're usually like, oh my gosh, I want one of those. So, you know.
Yeah, there's something magical about B&O that no other manufacturer brand matches. That's just where it's at. And
yeah,
even though the TV will be 5-10 years old, it's still going to look like it's bought yesterday, because there's nothing like it, and by then still won't be nothing like it.
Yeah, what I really liked about the Harmony, especially for that room, was we just didn't want, I mean, like I said, in our old house, we had a wallpaper TV, and we actually built a whole architectural detail because we had a 2-story family room. So it was a 20-foot ceilings, and we built an architectural thing around it. So it kind of blended in, and when it wasn't on, you wouldn't even really see it. And we wanted, or more specifically, I guess I wanted the same size TV, and that one's a 77 that we had in the old house, but we didn't want just a huge thing on the wall. We didn't want to be like, hey, here's our TV. Yeah. And so that that was really the selling point for us on that, is that, you know, I mean, it looks beautiful, but when not in use, it isn't taking up all of the wall. I was also kind of surprised. It worked out really well, sort of the detail of it, where the grill is and then the TV comes around it. It kind of mimics the fireplace on the other side. That wasn't really intentional, but the dimensions of the fireplace and the dimensions of the TV are very, very close. So
that's cool.
It just sort of worked out that way.
Yeah, no, I think I fully agree. It is remarkable how small a 77-inch panel can be on a Harmony, because when it's on, it's massive.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it's off, it's sort of like, hey, I get my wall back. And
yeah. The only difficult thing we've had design-wise is trying to figure out what to do on the wall above the TV. Because we want to do something, but probably not like a painting or something. I don't know. We're still working on what to do. For a while I thought maybe a shape would look nice there, but I think
your installers
that's
are
even
good.
Too many.
Your installers are good, right?
Yeah, they're good, but I think that's even too many speakers for me.
No, not speakers. How about you do my idea that I never got round to doing? When the TV is on, make the 9000 sideways perfectly level with the TV so you don't see it. Then once your TV is off, you see your 9000. You loop your 9000 into the Harmony.
Maybe. I'll
because that way the missus, when she watches TV, she doesn't have to look at it, and it's like it's not there.
Yeah,
it's like it's not there.
It's a good idea. I'll think about it. I'll go after the talk. I'll go down there and take a look and sweet talk her a little bit. So
because like thickness-wise, that fits easily.
Eric, asking.
There's about.
Go ahead. Did I lose it?
I was just gonna say there's about a good foot at least from the wall to the back of the Harmony screen. So
yeah, I have it about 8 to 9 inches or so, because mine is quite far back. But I mean, a 9000 is maybe 6.
6 what?
Inches deep, like if you hang it on a wall bracket sideways.
It's not that deep.
I think it's about 3 inches deep. I don't know how much the bracket adds to it, but
fuck all. That's how thick it is. 9000 on the wall. It's literally 3.5 to 4 inches tops. Hell, I can take a goddamn tape measure and go measure mine and tell you exactly what it is. Because that bracket is the same for the, well, not same, but the plate is the same thickness, no offset, no matter what. Question in the chat was, speaking of not looking like speakers, Josh, is there a shape? And if not, what was your thinking here?
Oh, a BeoSound shape?
Yeah.
Is that? No, we do not have a BeoSound shape. Actually, I thought about it for this wall here.
Yeah.
But that is actually, even though there's nothing on it at the moment, it is a chalkboard wall. It's painted with chalkboard paint, so we can write on it. This is sort of our home office, and we sometimes, you know, put our own sort of handmade spreadsheets, if you will, or just notes or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we wanted to kind of retain that. Because we have a turntable here, I did think about the shape for there, and I think it would look super cool, but we ended up going with sort of the Harmony and the 28s instead. At this point, I think it would be a little bit of overkill. So,
And also, it I guess goes against your mantra of having
Wait,
stuff on the
overkill
wall.
was it an issue?
I don't think
there's
that.
there's a limit even for me.
But I think also
Yeah,
it's
it does.
to your argument that
does.
you wanted to have not stuff mounted on the wall because if you can move easier, right? And
It's true. I mean, I don't want to. We're not planning to move anywhere, okay, anytime soon. I could put something on the wall, and we do have some things like bookshelves that are mounted into the wall. It's just it kind of pained me to leave so much stuff, at the old house. And so, I mean, I will say there's no chance that I am leaving any of my B&O stuff here. Although I think my dealer might be happy if I just sold it all with the house and started afresh somewhere else. The realist in me, I would like to hold on to this stuff for a very long time. But
it's timeless.
Yeah, I mean,
anyways.
I do try to avoid building things in if we can, but if it were the right circumstance, like for instance, wall mounting a 9000, something like that, I mean, that's a little bit different. So
Plus it comes off the wall quite easily.
Yeah.
It's 2 screws.
One thing I really enjoy in your kitchen is the pan filler thing.
The pot filler?
Yeah, that's such a great idea.
We use it quite a lot. We had one in our old home, and it's one of those things that I think you can only really do if you're building a home, because it's really hard to add after. And so, especially, well, this is the second time we've built a home, and with the last home, we said to ourselves, okay, we are just, anything that can't be done later, we're going to do now. So we put in the pot filler when we were building it, and then we planned for future upgrades to the house. And so when we were building this house, we just knew we wanted a pot filler and we'd add it in there. With this one, we didn't want to do things in stages. It was just, let's rip the Band-Aid off all at once and,
get it done and over with, yeah.
Exactly. So.
Yeah.
I like it.
Pot fillers. It's one of those things that you think, I can do the classic sort of thing and move it. But as soon as you have it, it's like, why did we ever do it the other way?
Yeah. I mean, I will say it's handy too. I know you like your coffee just like I do, Michael. So it's handy
Absolutely.
for filling up the water for the coffee and then bringing it over there. In our old home, it was a little closer to the coffee machine, so it was even more convenient. But, in this home where the coffee is, we have to walk a few more steps, so it's all right.
The agony.
Yeah.
First world problems, brother. Terrible news.
Brendan on Twitch says that he very much likes the under cabinet lighting in the kitchen. That is a nice touch.
Oh, the ones on the floor, or the ones? Yeah.
Did you put them on the floor, or they're shining down from the cabinet towards the ground?
They're like, it's like an LED strip or with a transformer that is mounted to the bottom of the cabinets there. I can't say that we came up with that idea. The designer who built or designed the neighborhood here, we were looking through his portfolio of other homes, and there was one that I guess didn't have upper cabinets. So he had put lighting under the lower cabinets, and I just thought it was really cool and would be a good night light kind of thing. And it's really good sort of lighting when we're watching movies. We have everything else off and we just leave those on so you can still see where you're going.
Yeah, if it's up higher, you get all the nasty reflections in the screen and whatnot.
Yeah, dude. That's exactly for my even like TV viewing mode. It's the LED lights in the kitchen on the toe kicks just stay on at like 1% or whatever. Just very minimum.
I mean,
very minimal.
in my living room, both of us always get it confused, but there's one light switch at night that we shouldn't touch because it's that light, and it's a beautiful looking light, but it's as bright as the bloody sun.
Yeah.
So if it's dark, it's like, oh, man.
Why don't you get a dimmer bulb in it or weaker bulb, or is it a specific one?
It's undimmable, and the light LED light elements are built in.
It's fucking super
Even if you
overload.
put it on a dimmable, like power
Dimmer?
plug.
Yeah.
It says it'll burn itself out if it's on something like that. I don't know why that's what
Okay.
the box says. So I'm actually thinking of getting a new light because it's ridiculous.
Why don't you just fucking try it then? And since you're trying to get a new light, then you actually help yourself with the decision that way too. 'Cause if you burn the shit out of the bulb, you might as well just get a new
Yeah,
light.
then I can't sell it anymore. It's not like
Oh,
it's
you want to
worth
sell it?
Yeah, I'll just sell it. It's fine.
Oh, word.
But it used to be in the hallway, and that was even worse because the hallway is smaller, and that was really like you were actually doing
see
that
through your hand and shit.
Yeah.
God's sakes. Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
I guess I missed the number of lumen on the box when we bought it.
I like it. I like that. It's a very open concept apartment, isn't it? Or a condo
House.
or house. No, it's a condo, isn't it?
It's a townhome. It's
Townhome.
not technically a condo.
So you're not attached to anybody, right? Or are you with the wall or no?
The only place we have a 2-car garage, and the side of our garage attaches to the next home.
Oh, okay.
So-
I see. So you are alone, basically. It's not like a structure where you have not neighbors, but neighbors, I guess. Wall neighbors.
Well, yeah, we have neighbors, and but no neighbors that would share a wall with us.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Some in the neighborhood do, I think, have shared walls, but ours does not. It only attaches in that one place.
So you didn't really do much pre-wiring then, I guess, when you guys were building that house.
We did. I just didn't fully plan for the sheer number of speakers at a time.
Just kind of ran away from you, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Like, for instance, the A9 isn't hardwired. I mean, look, if I could, I would hardwire everything, but
Yes.
We're not on a crawl space, so it's a little bit harder to wire things now that we're in. And once we really made the decision to build this sort of Beo home, as you've called it, we'd already made some of the decisions and couldn't rewire it at that point. It's a little easier on the second floor because they can come in through the attic. So we're going to have a little bit of wiring done in the next couple of weeks. But on the first floor, it's trickier.
Mm-hmm.
How
I
do you
like the string shelves as well. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
How do you like the contour versus your stage? I guess it's LG combo in the workout room. Is there a noticeable difference other than the visual aspect of it, or
The beauty of it.
Yeah, that's sort of our guest room. So it doesn't get used as often as some of the other TVs. We had the one that's in the garage in that guest room before we moved it to the garage. I really think the contour is beautiful, and we just felt that the size that we had between the LG and the stage combo was too big there, and there wasn't very much we could do with that wall, and we wanted some more shelving in there, or wanted it to not be necessarily TV focused wall.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worked out well. I mean, it sounds great. It probably gets used more as a speaker than a TV at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never meant to be a primary TV. My only irritation, but it's mostly because I'm impatient, is that in the app, you still can't choose the right finish. If you choose anything other than the basic finish, it turns into a stage. But I've let those comments be known, and hopefully at some point they will update the app. It's really, you were talking about first world problems before. That's definitely a first world problem.
Well, but
It's
we
not
talked
something-
about that quite a bit extensively because
I mean,
there
it's
was
been
a
out
couple
for
things.
a year now.
It's the
Yeah.
same like with my 90s, like, only the most expensive speakers don't have the customization to actually change them to whatever, even though they were the first ones that you could customize as a customer, right? Because
Yeah.
before that, there was no extra unless you were a sheikh in Dubai or some shit and bought 500 pairs of Lab 5s, then you can get them in gold, but you're not doing
Yeah.
it for, regular mortals. So,
Well, I know it's probably not the highest priority. It would be a nice thing just to, have there, as my mom kindly says, or tries to be kind when she says, I'm pretty particular, which I guess means I like things the way I like them.
That's
I want
right.
it. Like, this is what it looks like, but it doesn't look like that in the app. I just want it there.
Mhm.
But, it's not the biggest deal. Back to the TV itself, it's worked well. I mean, I really like the stand and how smooth it is to move around. We did buy it more for the looks, I guess, because it fit well, and we liked the finish of it. As much as I liked the LG and the stage on the bracket, I never really liked where we had those TVs. You could see behind it a lot, and although the installers did a really great job with wire management, you could still see a lot of that stuff, and it wasn't my favorite. So we moved it to a place where we wouldn't really see it and wouldn't have to worry about that. And it gets a lot of use in the garage because we have an Apple TV set up to it. So we can actually do workouts and things like that. So
Yeah, that ties into Sandeep's question. Josh, do all the various TVs share the same source? Cables, setup boxes, Apple TV, etc.? Like, do you have
yeah, that's a good question. We used to, in our old home, have DirecTV, which I quite liked, but we cut the cord when we moved here. So we have
that's an instant
all the
$300 a month saved.
all the streaming channels, Hulu, Netflix, Apple TV, Disney Plus, those things. Let's see, the primary TVs, so all of the Harmonies have Apple TVs connected to them, like physical Apple TVs. The one in the garage also has an Apple TV because that's how you can use the Fitness Plus. The guest room one has Apple TV, but it's just through the built-in app.
It's for the plebs that are allowed to stay.
We don't have any other sources, like video sources, except for the one, Harmony in the office here has a Nintendo Switch and an Xbox hooked up to it, and that's for our younger daughter's video games. So I mean, technically, I guess we can play Blu-ray on that TV, but really we're usually buying or renting movies online or just watching Netflix or something.
But you don't do over-the-air TV that you get in most places in America.
No, the video quality has been superior in my perspective over the streaming services than what I got. So, I mean, we have fast internet, so it works quickly, it works well.
Oh yeah, then you're definitely better off. I think over the air, the free over the air is at best 720p anyway.
Yeah, 1080i, I guess, that they have here.
Yeah.
But antenna over the air, we can get 1080p, but only a few channels. But I don't care. I haven't had TV or like cable television for 3 years now.
Yeah, then you get like HD PBS.
But it's, you know what?
Something.
It's 6 of one, half dozen the other. Because you save whatever money you save on not paying for basically watching commercials full time. Where you bleed that money out in different streaming services, but at least you get the value and entertainment from it. So it's much worth it, right? But Because Netflix is not cheap. That's $20 a month now, right? Because obviously you got 4K TV, you're not gonna buy a 1080p subscription. That doesn't make any sense. Deezer Hi-Fi, because you're gonna go with that. Why not? That's another $13 or $14, I guess, right? And then you have like all the other. So yeah, you probably are ended up in a long run more or less paying equivalent, if not more, for all of your media content than what you would. But at least you're utilizing it versus just having a fucking TV that you know, 20-minute show is an hour because there's so many commercials, right?
At least you're not getting bombarded with stupid ads. Like, yes, it's the same price at the end, but you're not watching ads for half your life.
Yeah. When we made the change, well, it was actually at our apartment in between homes, and then here, you know, in part it was to save some money every month, but really it was just for ease of use. I mean, I can't say I saved $200 or $300 a month, but it might be $100 a month. You know, even with all the various services we have, but it's just easier. It's one less piece of equipment to have to house or do something with, and
yeah,
it
cable
works well.
boxes are iffy at best.
Well, yeah, and then there is a big problem with them now, in my opinion, especially like if you were to tie it into the Contour, which is basically an ARC protocol only. There's no IR flashers, and some of those boxes just don't really work well over the HDMI control. So then you have issue of controlling, and now you have two remotes. You have the clunky, plasticky piece of shit. Then now you have to have that thing exposed so you can see it properly. And yeah, no. Well, you could mostly stream anyways, like your live TV through the apps of some sort of providers, I guess, whatever app you download.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Josh, Eric had a question. Josh, you walk in to your townhome and you think to yourself, I'd like to hear some great music. Which speakers do you listen to?
I would always go for the 50s, but probably whichever one is closest. You know, like I said, I like hanging out in the lounge chair here in the office and listening to music here. I sometimes listen in the bedroom. Sometimes I just grab my headphones if a lot of people are making noise somewhere and I can't close myself off. So, you know,
just turn the volume up.
Yeah, by far the 50s are my favorite. But really, we wanted to have good sound and good entertainment in just about every room. So wherever you are, if that's what you feel like doing, you have that option.
And what's your preferred way of listening to it? Streaming or vinyl or whatever is easiest again?
Yeah, well, I definitely listen to a lot of vinyl. I have, I don't know, 400 or 500 records at this point, and that seems to grow every week.
I know the
so
feeling.
That is probably my preferred method of listening. But I do, for the convenience of it and because it sounds really good, just listen to the Deezer Hi-Fi that's built into the products. We have TuneIn also. Occasionally we listen to that. I usually listen to radio more when I'm in my car somewhere, so I don't listen to it at home all that much. I mean, I've quite liked Deezer.
Do you share the music throughout the house, like in a multi-room scenario? Do you guys use that a lot or no? Like, let's say you play one source and you just play it through the kitchen and bedrooms.
We
whatever.
do. If we have gatherings, we'll play it all throughout the house. Maybe not on the second floor, but at least on the first floor. But we use it more. Let's say we're listening or watching something in the family room, and one of us is cooking. With that range hood, it makes so much noise. We can't actually hear the other stuff or hear it well. So we'll just, touch to join on the BeoSound 2, and like now you can listen to music while you're cooking too.
Yes.
So I mean, the A9 gets used a lot for sort of when we're dining or just hanging out there. So we kind of group smaller groups together quite frequently, but we don't group the entire house together unless we were having, a bigger gathering, which
Yeah.
hasn't
Well, the
happened
upstairs
all that
doesn't really
often.
make sense because you don't have people who are hanging out in your bedroom and shit. It's weird. But
Yeah. Well, actually, our bedroom is downstairs.
Oh, okay.
The secondary bedrooms are upstairs, but as well as our office.
So you're pretty much set up for the next 30 years because you don't have to walk stairs anymore.
Yeah.
Well, don't get me wrong. I don't particularly enjoy walking stairs if I don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. What legs are you chosen, or did you choose for the A9? Are they black or walnut?
Oh gosh, that was maybe my silliest Bang & Olufsen purchase. So it is the one. It came with smoked oak legs.
Okay.
Okay. But those are walnut legs that are on it. So the chairs that we have there are these Eames side and armchairs, and they have a walnut. They have sort of a black wire, and then they have walnut legs.
The matches.
So I ordered for, I don't know, $125 or whatever it was, the walnut legs, because we wanted those legs to look just like the other legs. And I get them and I look at them compared to the smoked oak, and you almost can't really tell which is which. It's like, okay, I thought it was going to be a bigger difference in that, but I ended up keeping them anyway. And they're the walnut ones. So, but that is, if anyone needs a pair of smoked oak A9 legs, I have some in the garage.
I have a set of, I don't know what kind of wood as well. That's funny.
Maybe you can use them as trade-in at your dealers.
Yeah, I don't know that that'd go very far toward a pair of 90s, but I'll keep it in mind.
That's right. Trade it for a link eye to the 90s. Control them separately. Well, yeah, no, that's a beautiful home. But then again, like, it's not your first rodeo. I guess it's a first rodeo with that much B&O, right? Because you haven't had that, like, you haven't lived with the B&O before.
No, not really to this extent. No. I mean, thank you. I appreciate it. I will say it was when we signed the contract to build the home, it was right before the pandemic really sort of hit, at least here. And then as the home was being built and we were planning things out for the design of the home, but also the design of the equipment, we had a lot of time on our hands to really go over the plans and really think things through. So we did put a lot of time and effort into trying to imagine kind of every scenario in which we would listen or want to enjoy music or film or TV. So, obviously we couldn't envision everything, but we did try to make it a thoughtful plan. And
if you ever think of moving and I'm still here, let me know. I'll just move into there and I can leave all my crap here.
I have issue with voltage. But I like the fact that there's really not a nook or a cranny or a wall that you can look at, and there's not a piece of B&O sitting on somewhere or like in your peripheral. Like, there's always a product within your, I guess, visual reach per se. Like on the end of the hallway is an A9, if I'm seeing it correctly, right?
Yeah. Most nooks and crannies have some sort of B&O equipment.
I like that. I like looking at the product.
There's no such thing as overkill.
Yeah, we still might have a few other places we could put things, but it'd have to be the right thing. And there's usually, at least, I have my headphones in, but usually a pair of headphones lying around somewhere. So even if there isn't a Bang & Olufsen, speaker somewhere, there's usually a Bang & Olufsen product laying around somewhere.
Have you thought of putting an Essence remote on this little table in the hallway where you enter? So you can, like, turn on the A9.
I hadn't, actually. But we have a Halo.
That works, too.
Hallway. And it's on one of the charging pads, so that's sort of where it lives, and then we charge our phones there too, and so on. So that's sort of the central hub, I guess. And we have one here in the office and also in our library.
I like it.
Yeah, like I said, it's basically the perfect house. Quite honestly, if you like B&O, and I like that you are also at the point of we live around our B&O, not the other way around.
Yeah, well,
it's a good poison.
Yeah, we've loved it. We've been really happy, and you know, I'm just really happy to finally have sort of the house of our dreams, I guess, and a place that we can all enjoy and appreciate. And it's just really been great also being a part of the community of people who love Bang & Olufsen and appreciate sound and design and so on. So we're happy and excited.
I already told you this, but now I'm saying it publicly. I love that your dining room area is not the typical American thing where it's sort of like the official room that nobody ever uses. Like, this is so usable. This is so where you actually sit and enjoy. And
Yeah.
a great call on the coffee machine, quite literally next to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that we liked about this house, and one of the things that let us downsize without missing too much, is that we had rooms in our old house that we never really used, such as the dining room. It got used to do puzzles, and occasionally, a few times a year at holidays, you know, we would have people in there, but the rest of the time it collected dust. So we liked that this was, they call it a banquet area, but just sort of a central place. I mean, the table that we did use all the time in our old home was right off of the kitchen. It was, you know, what we'd call in America the breakfast room, I guess. And so this room is really a combination of breakfast room, dining room. And that really informed most of everything else about the house, because we knew we'd have these columns there and sort of a bench. So we needed an oval table to be able to get in and out. And that sort of everything went from there. And I have to say, you know, I would always give her the credit anyway, but she definitely gets the credit for, she being my wife, gets the credit for choosing and deciding on that table.
Yeah, so I like the shape of that foot, and it's a real space maximizer while still being stylish.
Yeah, it's a Saarinen table, and Eero Saarinen, I think, said that he wanted to clean up the mess of feet, or you know, he designed chairs, and we have some chairs like that in the entryway and so on, because he didn't like all the legs underneath the table, or that the table legs would get in the way of placing the chairs. So it has been good.
It's a great idea. So, did your dealer ever give you a golden bottle opener by any chance?
I have a golden bottle opener, yes.
Good.
I might have two, actually.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
That would have made the call tomorrow and give him shit. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's a very well and thought through house, man. Even like it's not your first rodeo because you obviously built a few, but I think this you just nailed it. You absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, well, thank you. Like I said, a lot of thought and time and effort went into it. I had a great team though at Bang & Olufsen, and you know, I know that John from Manchester had chimed in earlier. You know, he's offered some helpful advice to me on forums, and as have all of you, and you know, a bunch of the rest of the community too, and the team at Bang & Olufsen in Soho, in particular Florin Health is who I've worked with, you know, have really put a lot of thought into it for me as well, and have really supported me in building this system and living with it and making sure that everything works great. So, you know, it's been good. I couldn't do it by myself, you know, and it's been great to have sort of a team and also a community sort of behind us, and people who truly love it. So, they want to help.
So
Brendan, by the way, said a nice design element underneath the little bench that it ties in with the benches in the, what is it, the chill room through the glass.
Yeah.
That it sort of makes it look the same. Is that like storage or something, or does it lift up, or is it just by?
Underneath the seating in the dining area.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah, there's storage under there.
Makes sense.
So they lift up. Those are actually like store-bought benches, and we built the cabinetry around it, and then the carpenters finished it off so it looks fully built in, but those benches can actually be taken out and moved with us to the next home.
That's an amazing find, and that it works out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't tell.
I have a question when it comes to pain and suffering.
Okay.
How many times have your remote controls wiped themselves off when you updated the TV?
I don't think that they've wiped themselves at all. I've had things disappear in the app from time to time and had to redo things in the app, but my remotes haven't given me any trouble.
I guess, yeah, because that's I'm more or less on the IR side of things here, and I have the gateway, because that's, you don't have the controlling lights. Yeah. That's what changes for me. Sorry, so yeah, that doesn't matter. But
okay.
You're the only one with this problem with me.
That's why they will never fix it.
No, I mean, there have been small things here and there. I will say, when we first set up the Harmony in the family room, and I was using the core to send the turntable over to the Harmony and the speakers there, it didn't want to work. I kind of freaked out. And, the team at Bang & Olufsen, my dealer, said, look, don't worry, we'll get this fixed. And I don't know what they did. Someone from Denmark looked inside our TV and sent some new software to it ahead of a software update, I guess, to help test it out so that they could roll it out. And, it took a week or two, but then they rolled it out and everything worked perfectly since then. So, it hasn't been entirely seamless, but every time there's been an issue, it's been able to be solved. And,
so I guess that's still a standing statement that no matter how much money you spend with B&O, you end up being a beta tester of some sorts.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I mean,
depends on how new you buy.
Well, that too, right? But not to diss the B&O, but it's just, I see that, like, there's always an issue, especially with the newly adopted products. There's always something that, and quite honestly, I guess the variety of combinations you have with the mixing. I don't know. I just figured I'd ask, because that's, everybody has their pain and suffering with something, right? So is there connectivity issues?
There's really been very little pain or suffering,
awesome to hear.
Except maybe in my wallet. The experience has been a joy. What our pain point is here is our home Wi-Fi system. So I was saying, we are going to be making an upgrade to our home network, and hopefully,
as he says that he's a robot.
Funny. That will help solve some of the issues that I think we're having, because it'll be industrial grade, sort of commercial grade networking
Ubiquity
stuff.
is the way to go, always.
Yeah.
Question: the couch in your office, is that a Muto outline sofa by any chance? Somebody asked.
It is indeed, yes.
People pick your shit apart.
Yeah.
To the molecules, I love it.
I like the little the wooden furniture piece that the turntable sit on in the
Turntable,
ground
I like
This one?
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, you were asking about the benches in the dining area and whether there was storage. It's actually the same kind of thing, except this is a media console, so these open up.
Nice.
The other one, the front doesn't open up, but the top opens up, so you can put things in there. So, for instance, here I have. In this one, I have a core and I have my phono preamp hidden away because those are things I didn't particularly want to see.
There's nothing to look
yeah.
at them anyways,
Yeah,
especially on the core. For what it cost, it should have been a little more sex appeal on that product. Like the converter back in the day. The NLML converter, I like those. With the
Yeah,
big slab of
but I understand. I mean, I think it's something that's meant to be hidden away inside a shape or hidden away in a cabinet or something.
I think more or less you're paying for the UI and the experience of it, not the PCB board, quite honestly, right? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that is what the magic is. Yeah, the 28s look stunning over there. You got the silver ones, right?
They're the anthracite ones.
Okay, because I'm like,
Yeah.
they're way too dark for being silver.
No, they're the black anthracite with smoked oak. I was briefly thinking about doing the bespoke program and getting them in the brass and smoked oak. But of course, there's a price premium for that. And even more so, I'm not the most patient person in the world. And already, we had to wait as some things were, for various installations and products to be ready. I didn't want to wait to have those built. I just wanted the speakers.
Did they even
and
give
we
you an
liked the
estimate
black.
lead time?
No, I mean, I
It'd
don't
be a few
recall.
months for certain.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have them now. I've had these since July, and I'd probably be waiting more toward the end of the year or something. So, I
That's
mean, it wouldn't
actually
have been
really quick for North America since July.
Yeah.
mean-
It wouldn't be forever or anything. There's a certain point at which we just wanted to be done with this place and sort of live in it and enjoy it rather than continuously add to it. So,
Silly question. Are you like Willy when you plop down in your Eames chair that you basically instantly fall asleep?
no.
Dangerous chair for me.
Yeah. It is a very comfortable chair. I don't think I doze off in it much though, because I'm usually listening to music or reading or something. So, I'm
Yeah, for
usually
me-
attuned to my.
I listen to music and just all of a sudden, it runs away from me. I mean,
It is. It's. We had one of them, and when we were in our apartment before we moved into this house, and it was, a generous size apartment. It was a 3-bedroom apartment, I think, but it was still pretty small.
mhm.
The entire family was fighting over that chair, so we just knew when we moved here we were going to have to buy a second one.
That's funny.
So one would hopefully be free at all times. So.
I think the worst BeoTalk we ever did was when Willy sat in his Eames chair and he was
Yeah,
just sort
I
of like,
fucking fell asleep almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not a good podcast. I'm banned from sitting in my own chair when we're doing this. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very nicely thought through apartment. I mean apartment
Thank you.
house. It's very nice.
All right.
I like it a lot. A lot of thought, like I said, a lot of thought goes in it, and I
Now-
like the flexibility of it all.
yeah,
But-
we haven't fully gotten there yet, but you changed out your record player for a Beogram. How's that experience been?
I did, yeah. Well, I've had Riga turntables for quite a while, and I really like the sound of them. I had, I still have, but it isn't in use at the moment, Planer 3 that had an upgraded subplatter in it. And on eBay recently, I found a new inbox unused Beogram TX2 with an MMC2 cartridge, and I just felt I couldn't pass it up, and I bought it, and then I my intention was actually to put it in a different room, but this was the easiest room in which I could actually swap it out to test it out. And it sounded so good that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to keep it here. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So
is it a bit
Where
more
did you manage to find one brand new in box? Holy cow.
I don't know. Well, it was on eBay. I asked the seller, after the fact where he found it, and he got it from a collector who had it, and I guess was selling his stuff to go and travel the country in an RV or something. And it worked out.
Wow.
But it was. I mean, I opened the box, and obviously the box had been opened so they could take pictures of it and things, but the shrink wrap was still on it. It still smelled brand new. I mean, it was pristine. It was really nice. So
that's awesome.
That's
a unicorn find.
Yeah, how would you describe is there like a tonal difference, or is it a bit more warm or more relaxed, or
than the Riga?
Or
no, they sound actually remarkably similar. I mean, I have to say I bought it because I just really loved it.
Because it said Bang & Olufsen on it.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I'd wanted a tangential turntable for a while, and I'm hoping maybe to have another one or two in the house somewhere. But I guess I wasn't expecting too much because I really, really love my Rigas. And so it's a 35-year-old turntable, and the technology, at least if you believe all the current turntable manufacturers, it's changed. So there aren't as many electronics in it, and they try to isolate everything. And I was expecting it to really not sound as good as it does, but I was so pleasantly surprised. And tonally, I don't know that there's a huge difference, but it's really clear. It is slightly warm, but pleasingly so. But it's very detailed, and I think part of that might be the cartridge. But it's been a really great experience, and for me, it's been kind of liberating because you just press play, and it just plays, and then more so
more like
turns the arm position, because oftentimes if I'm working or even if I'm just listening to music, I go into another room, I do something, and I forget that I've been listening to the turntable instead of Deezer, and I come back to my stylus at the end of the record, spinning round and round. I'm like, oh gosh, what have I done? And I don't need to worry about so.
No, with this turntable you own, it just turns itself off when it's done.
With the TX2, yeah, it does. I mean, I still right now I have a planar 8 downstairs, and that's still sort of my default go-to. I haven't done an EB comparison really, but I've been really, really happy, and I think this one found its right home, and it's going to be used and loved for years. And
yeah, how's the Rigas, right? Because one of the things B&O Beograms were known for is you can literally do that right next to them, even on a creaky wooden floor, and it wouldn't care. Are the Rigas suspended like that as well, or is it a bit more of a classic? It just sort of spins and you isolate it in the feet a little bit.
It's more about the isolation in the feet. They're not a suspended platter, but I've not really had issues with the Rigas ever skipping in that way. I don't know if it's our home or what, but that's just never particularly been an issue.
Move it closer to the 50s.
Put it on the table for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's noticeable. I think the isolation here on this turntable is great, and it's my first time with sort of a suspended platter, construction like that, and I've been impressed. I mean, I do think what do they call it, dance proof or something?
Yeah.
So you can dance around. I mean, maybe we're not dancing in our house enough to know, but I think you certainly could.
Well,
So.
yeah, like mine is right here, right next to a 50, so Beogram for life.
Yeah.
Do you use yours at all, Mikey, or no?
Yeah, I do. Like, not every day or anything.
Of course.
It's more of a weekend thing. And it's,
See, ours get used all the time. While we're working in the office for background music, downstairs, when we're chilling out. I mean, sometimes we just play Deezer or something else, but if I have it on vinyl, that's how I would prefer to listen to it. Of course, our vinyl is all in different rooms of the house. There's no one wall that has all the vinyl. So sometimes I have a hard time, even though it's alphabetized. Some of the rooms are just hodgepodge. I just threw it in there. Like sometimes I can't find what I'm looking for, and then I'll just put on Deezer.
So a good April Fool's prank is like literally going, you go here, you go there.
Yeah.
Don't give the girls ideas, man. Damn. Well, they'll never see the podcast, anyways.
Oh, they'll watch for like 5 minutes, maybe.
That's right. Well, I guess it's Dad on TV, right? So why not?
I'll make them, or they won't get their allowance. I'm not going to quiz them on it or anything, though.
That's right.
So.
Make sure they like and comment.
Yeah.
What are we not allowed to do for trick or treating? Move Dad's vinyl around.
That's right.
No, I mean they. I can't say that they're into. Actually, our youngest daughter, when I got the 50s, I think I had told her, but she didn't pay attention. And all of a sudden, one day, people were here installing them, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, what have you done?" Like, she was really upset, actually, because she really liked the other speakers, and which were the 18s, and these were so much bigger. She's like, "Dad, you're insane. Why'd you do this?" And then later that night, we were listening to them, and I put on Olivia Rodrigo or something that she really enjoys listening to, and I cranked up the volume. And she looked at me, she's like, "You're still insane, but yeah, it's really, really good." So,
oh yeah. Especially they're young, so the hearing is wicked, man. They can hear way more than we could now, Fudge.
Oh yeah. So
that's funny.
I think they appreciate the record collecting part of it, and telling me like, "Oh, make sure to find this record or whatever." So
I think
there's more music available on record than than any other media other than streaming, I guess, right?
I think something they will enjoy the most but don't notice is actually the Beo remote ones. Whereas they go to their friends and all of a sudden you have to like point stuff again and that sort of thing.
And you have 7 remotes on the freaking table, right? Because one is for Apple TV, one turns on the receiver, one turns on the TV panel.
Yeah.
One's for the cable box. That's what usually you get.
Everybody I've met that has kids that have used one of these or the old BO4s says the same thing. Like, my kids go over to their friends and all of a sudden they're befuddled by, like, how does your house work? Because everything works through one thing with us.
Yeah. No, I think they like the remotes. I mean, I love the remote. My only thing is that, without my glasses, which I don't need for distance really, sometimes I hit the wrong button, and there have been a couple times, even though I kind of have it memorized by where my fingers are on it, that I've accidentally tried to hit pause and then I turned it off, and all of a sudden I see my TV closing. I'm like, no,
I know that feeling.
I didn't mean to do that.
But if you're listening, please make these buttons a bit more distinguishable.
Just backlight the damn thing. Don't do anything else. Just backlight the board. That's all you need to do, man.
A backlight would be good. I don't know how that would affect the battery life, but it would be nice.
Do
I'd be
you
willing
care
to
if
change
it's
care
my.
like
less
once
for the
every 6
battery life.
months?
Yeah.
I could care less for how long the battery life would be on it. Like even if it stayed in 3-4 months, I'd be fine with it. Or make a charging one. Charge me another $150 to $300 and make it a charging remote, for God's sakes. They could do it with the STB, like even just when they do the charging contacts, just like on the bottom of the freaking BeoCom too, but put it on the back of the remote. So when you click it on the wall bracket, done.
I have it pretty well memorized by feel, so I'm okay. I don't usually make that mistake anymore. That was really early on. But yes, a backlight would help for,
I've been using that remote since the Avant came out.
Glasses to see things.
I've been using that remote since the Avant first time came out, and I still mash a wrong button. For me, it's the green button when I'm going back and forth on Apple TV, and you press the green and it goes back to the home screen. I'm sure you've mashed that before.
Yeah.
That's a little frustrating, especially like in the movie when it just, I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, who's gonna just about to die? And now I'm in the main menu. I'm a bastard. But I think they should backlight the remote.
That happened to me on our old remotes too, though. So I don't know that it's entirely unique to
the BeoFour or BeoRemote ones. I can't say that I've ever had an issue with the BeoFour.
I just meant like for us with our old Control 4 remote, sometimes like we would press the wrong button all the time anyway, and those were backlit. So
Yeah, both Willie and I came from the BeoFour, the sort of longer.
Yeah.
But both of us, like, that was blind. Like, you could do stuff blind.
I have a few clients. One of them is actually 100% legally blind. She can't see shit. And the only remote that she's been using it for, like, since the BeoSound 3000 was brand new, because that's when she bought her B&O system. So over almost 2 decades that she's been using that remote, and she's just so attuned to it. But yeah, if I were to swap her for a freaking BeoRemote 1, she'd be out to lunch, man, because everything's just smooth, right? You have those 2 ridges, one on the My Buttons list, and then the other one on the above the number pad, and that's it. So I don't know. I just wish they backlit it, or put it with like a bioluminescent paint or something, like the same shit that's in the watch markers, right? Why not use the ink for that? Because like it wouldn't last you all night long, but I don't know how many times have you stayed up all night watching a TV, right? Like it's just enough to just for those few hours if it retains that glow. I don't know.
That's
just
a good
like
idea.
2.5 pennies, because I don't think that would cost them that much money, and that luminous shit is very efficient now. Like if you think about like on the watches how little light it needs to how long it glows for.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, if Bang & Olufsen is listening, please do that. Hurry up. Chop.
See, it's not just us. It's not just us that have the remote issues. So when are you going to doodle on the wall? Are you going to... Because then if you erase it, now you're going to have a smudgicle, right?
Yeah, well, no. We had a chalkboard wall, a few chalkboard walls in our old home, so we know how to clean it well. But the turntable is under it, so I
was just
not
about
in any
to say...
rush.
To leave notes on.
Yeah.
Your food's in the microwave. Yeah, no.
I think the problem is that neither my wife's nor my handwriting is good enough that we want to like start, messing with the wall there.
Just making an art piece of some sorts.
Well, as long as you're not a surgeon, it seems legible.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the only people that have handwriting that it's. Nobody can read that except for pharmacists somehow.
I sometimes wonder too that they just give you something they think is right.
Yeah, they're probably guessing.
It's like it's a freaking wave, dude. How do you know this is whatever that is, right? My doctor is absolutely insane writing. But
well, that's how they do surgery.
That's just where it's at. So what do you think? Should we call it?
Yeah, on that note, I'm going to call it. Thank you, Josh, very much for joining us. I'm going to roll the outro.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Hopefully you bought your wife a few hours of quiet time without you talking about B&O because you got yourself out of the system today.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Thank
a lot
you.
of fun.
Everybody on YouTube and Twitch, thank you all for watching. If you missed the earlier parts, you can rewind on YouTube. In Twitch, you can in a moment. And like and subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, see you tomorrow on Twitch.
You bet. Bye.
Bye.